Esse é o podcast do Rio Ethical Fashion, o maior fórum de moda sustentável da América Latina. Os episódios que você vai ouvir nesta edição foram gravados em agosto de 2026, durante o Rio Innovation Week, no Rio de Janeiro. Este episódio pode ser ouvido com legenda em português no nosso canal do YouTube.
Então, bom dia a todos e todas. Meu nome é Nina Moda, sou a vice-consul-geral da Holanda aqui no Rio. É um grande prazer representar o Reino dos Países Baixos nessa edição do Rio Ethical Fashion. Cumprimento a organização, os participantes desse painel e todas as pessoas que trabalham por uma moda mais responsável. A moda é uma forma poderosa de expressão. Ela comunica identidade, cultura e criatividade. Mas a moda também faz parte de uma grande cadeia de produção. Essa cadeia afeta o meio ambiente, as condições de trabalho e a forma como nós consumimos. Por isso, o futuro da moda não depende apenas do que criamos. Depende de como criamos, com quem trabalhamos e o impacto que deixamos. Sustentabilidade não pode ser apenas uma tendência. Ela precisa estar presente no design, nos materiais, na produção, no consumo e na reciclagem. Nos Países Baixos, designers, empresas, universidades e instituições buscam novas formas de produzir com mais circularidade, inovação e responsabilidade. O design holandês é conhecido por questionar padrões, experimentar e propor caminhos diferentes. Mas sabemos que nenhum país isolado pode transformar essa indústria. Essa mudança exige cooperação internacional, diversidade de perspectivas e vontade de construir soluções em conjunto. Gostaria de apresentar nossa convidada da Holanda, Iris Ruys. A trajetória dela passa pelo design da moda, pelo desenvolvimento de talentos e pela construção de redes internacionais em torno da sustentabilidade da moda. Formada em design da moda pela Artes, Iris começou sua carreira como head de design em diversas marcas e, mais tarde, como diretora criativa da Amsterdam Fashion Week. Ela foi uma das fundadoras da Moda Foundation, onde, como diretora, dedicou-se a fortalecer o empreendedorismo de moda sustentável e a formação de novos talentos. Iris também é conselheira no Fundo de Estímulo às Indústrias Criativas e preside na categoria de moda no Dutch Design Awards. Desde junho de 2023, ela é diretora da State of Fashion Foundation. The State of Fashion Foundation é uma das principais plataformas internacionais dedicadas a debater questões sociais relacionadas a desafios do universo da moda. A plataforma conecta profissionais do design, pesquisa e negócios por meio de debates, laboratórios de pesquisa e exposições. A State of Fashion reúne ideias visionárias a partir de discussões e gera propostas práticas ao modelo tradicional da indústria da moda. Eu tenho muito orgulho de que a Iris esteja participando nesse painel, que se concentra em como representar artisticamente alternativas ao sistema da moda, um assunto muito importante. Esperamos que esse encontro, também com os outros panelistas, os outros palestrantes, gere novas ideias, conexões e parcerias, e que o diálogo se transforma em ações concretas. Em nome do Consulado Geral do Reino dos Países Baixos, eu agradeço ao Rio Ethical Fashion pela parceria e parabenizo todas as pessoas envolvidas nessa edição. que esse encontro nos ajuda a construir uma moda mais responsável, inovadora, inclusiva e, o mais importante, mais humana. Muito obrigada.
Bom, gente, é um prazer estar aqui hoje, nesse evento que eu acompanho desde o início, desde o primeiro, e sou muito fã desse projeto, liderado pela IAME. Então, e hoje eu tenho o prazer de conversar com duas pessoas que colocam a moda num outro contexto, né? E revelando outras camadas que a gente não está acostumado a refletir sobre elas, né? Que vão muito além da indústria em si. E essa abordagem que é, digamos, mais artística ou mais antropológica me interessa muito, cada vez mais, aliás. E depois de décadas de jornalismo de moda, e muita gente me perguntou onde eu andei ultimamente, eu vou contar. Eu voltei, resolvi voltar para a universidade e fui para Londres fazer um mestrado em curadoria no Chelsea College of Arts. E isso, embora eu já fizesse curadoria no Brasil, eu senti uma necessidade de, enfim, de ter uma formação mais acadêmica, embora eu ache, desculpa, Yamê, mas eu acho meio chato assim a academia. Eu sou muito mão na massa. Então, mas essas reflexões são muito importantes também. Então, para mim foi um desafio e foi também uma oportunidade de eu aprofundar um pouquinho mais as minhas pesquisas. Mas antes de ir em 2022, eu já tinha feito algumas exposições aqui no Brasil, inclusive a segunda temporada do projeto MASP Moda, não, Arte na Moda MASP Renner. Eu fiz a segunda temporada, a Hana fez a terceira temporada e a Patrícia Carta fez a primeira temporada, e foi uma exposição que, na verdade, o público só veio a conhecer em 2024, mas a minha parte já estava pronta antes. E aí, durante esse mestrado em Londres, é que eu descobri o State of Fashion, que é um projeto que acontece na Holanda, comandado pela Iris, e que eu achei muito interessante esse projeto. Achei realmente fantástico que existisse uma iniciativa dessa no mundo, né? Então, é um prazer estar aqui hoje com vocês. Parabéns pelo projeto, e acho que a nossa atuação no MASP também é um divisor de águas, né? Foi muito importante, eu acho, aquela iniciativa. Então, para começar, embora a Nina já tenha explicado boa parte do que a Iris, da trajetória da Iris, to begin with, Iris, I would like each of you to tell us a little about your background. I know that Nina has talked a lot about your background, but maybe you can resume in your own words and maybe talking about the state of fashion, how it comes up, and Hannah, and how did you get involved with the state of fashion?
Okay, muito obrigada, Lilian. Let me start with a short introduction. Currently, I am the director of State of Fashion. But previously, I was a fashion designer myself. I was graduated in one of the art schools in Holland. It's called Artes, which is an important collaboration partner for us, since they have a quite famous background. They deliver a lot of famous designers from Europe. So that's how it started. And after 15 years working as a fashion designer and as a creative director, I was a little bit fed up with making collections 4 times a year. And that's well, the point that I decided to sit at the other side of the table, to really start working on talent development and on sustainability projects. So then I joined Amsterdam Fashion Week as a creative director. And at that point, Amsterdam Fashion Week was really working on talent development. So it was not as sponsor driven as many fashion weeks were at the time, but really focusing on more cultural projects, on young talents, on sustainable practices, and that's what I loved. Since then, I've been working on this part of the area, but I started together with my partner, who is also here together, Peter, today. We started the Mode Foundation, and Mode was really focusing purely on sustainable fashion practices, mainly on entrepreneurs and brands and young startups. We've been doing this quite some years in Amsterdam. And then I was asked for State of Fashion to become the director. And it has so much overlap with all my experience within Mode that I decided to go to State of Fashion. And we are now 6 years later.
Amazing. Hannah, and what about you? How did you get involved with the State of Fashion and a bit of your background?
Oh, first of all, I'm so happy to be here. Thank you, Yame. What?
Mais alto.
Thank you, Yame. This is a lovely event. Happy to be with Iris and Lilian. Well, I was invited. Someday I received an email, invited me to be part of as interlocutor curator of the 2024 edition. And we started to work in 2023.
Yes.
6 months. And it was amazing experience because, I was a curator at MASP. So it's a kind of different experiences, but the idea of to be a fashion curator, it's the same thing. But work with Iris, the whole team of State of Fashion, and with Rachel, Louise, Carlo, and Sunny, that was other curators, was so nice because Rachel and Louise are from UK. Carlo is from India, and Sunny is from Kenya, Nairobi. So it's different parts of the world working together. And me, as a Brazilian curator, was so important to be there and realize that the Brazil as part of Latin America involved in a global fashion project. So it was so nice. And we developed it with my husband, Felipe, a fashion exhibition in São Paulo, at Centro Cultural São Paulo. Exhibition that put together visual artists and fashion designers, and like a experience that we made in MASP. So was beautiful, and as I am a fashion professor too, so in my curations, I like to put fashion education, talks, conversations, all together. And we did it. It was beautiful.
Yeah, yes, it was. And this was in 24, that's 23 that we met. And then we had the event in 24, first in Sao Paulo as part of the State of Fashion Tijdsbijn Biennial. And then afterwards, I think we selected 3 of your co-creations for Holland, right?
And Diana Molina from Nalimo, working with Salisa Rosa.
Mm-hmm, wow.
Rosa. My accent. Amazing accent. Goya Lopes from Bahia, right? I think this was 2. And the video, the filming, yes, that we put some a little parts.
Aliás, vamos chamar o vídeo do State of Fashion e o da Hannah também.
How can fashion and textiles contribute and shape and challenge a more transparent, more inclusive, more future-oriented society?
Fashion is never only fashion. It is movement across borders, platforms, ecologies, and bodies.
I think state of fashion allows us to see the state of fashion at any given time.
It's one of the only platforms in the world that brings together actors in the fashion scene from all over the globe to think about these pressing issues through exhibition and public programming.
It was put forth by 3 women that form this fascinating collective. Only these 3 in this moment of time could make a show like this.
Available to promise hidden systems, shared futures.
This edition brings together 26 projects across moving image, installation, garments, material experiments, and research.
We invite you to physically step behind the scenes.
The main exhibition is the epicenter of the State of Fashion Biennial. What we always do is connect Arnhem as well. So we really connect with other epic cultural organizations. We have the Rosette Library, Focus, the theater, we have Museum Arnhem, but we also work with a lot of other collaborators within the cultural network, such as Introdans. Within our public and education program, we work a lot with Bureau Ruimtekoers, for instance, really focusing on the societal challenges we want to bring with our fashion and textile program. And for us, this is very meaningful.
It's interesting to look at the systems behind fashion, which is what we wanted to do. The idea of not focusing only on the garments or the finished product, but really stepping back and seeing what goes into all of that. The Biennale is structured into 5 pillars: develop, distribute, hide, experience, and transform. I think the 5 pillars are really well done. It's come physically to life. You walk through these 5 stages of the production process.
Available to Promise was really aiming and seeking to make those elements of the fashion production system and fashion operating system visible to consumers, which, you know, in this current moment, I think is really timely.
The idea of promise, it's more than desire or beauty or luxury. It's about the workers that working at the heart of industry.
Every piece of this show is giving me a new idea, a new positive imagination of an alternative present now.
It asks the public to engage with invisible labor and to ask a simple question, you know, who made your clothes? What's your responsibility? And what can we do to change the system?
A question is such a wonderful thing. It's a collaborative thing. You ask a question for it to be answered. And I think that's exactly what this Biennale has done.
I think it's great that they're making that their role and engaging not just in that sort of surface veneer level fantastic image that we all love, but actually educating people on the wider complexities of the fashion industry and making them understand their own role within it.
That's one of the main takeaways for us, is for people to have that awareness that there is more to just going to a shop and buying something and then wearing it and then throwing it away. And second to that, I think nothing exists in a vacuum and that everything is interconnected in some way, and let the conversations continue beyond the exhibition space itself.
Hanayrá Negreiros. Eu sou paulistana, nascida aqui na capital mesmo. Sou pesquisadora, curadora, escritora. Essa mostra, acho que ela pode ser entendida de maneira geral como um grande bordado coletivo, feito a muitas mãos e pensado também por muitas cabeças e sentido por muitos corações, né?
Eu acho que a relação com a criação, ela tá numa perspectiva assim de mergulhos, né? Mergulhos que vão desde uma relação com o processo têxtil, né, da gente ir descobrindo coisas que estavam ali se conectando. Nós estamos tecendo futuros diferentes, construindo novas perspectivas.
Beleza de encontros que a gente tem entre Brasil e Holanda a partir da iniciativa do State of Fashion,
que me convida para ser uma das curadoras interlocutoras do projeto, com a curadoria da Rachel e da Louise, que resolvem descentralizar essa curadoria e expandir a partir de pessoas, né, que estão ali nesse entendido sul global, pensando como a gente consegue romper os laços coloniais e pensar essas junções decoloniais, né, nesse processo de tentar reverter séculos, né? Beleza de encontros que a gente tem entre Brasil e Holanda a partir da iniciativa do State of Fashion, que me convida para ser uma das curadoras interlocutoras do projeto, com a curadoria da Rachel e da Louise, que resolvem descentralizar essa curadoria e expandir a partir de pessoas, né, que estão ali nesse entendido sul global, pensando como a gente consegue romper os laços coloniais e pensar essas junções decoloniais, né, nesse processo de tentar reverter séculos, né? Acho que a ideia da postura e da memória traz toda uma conexão de todas as pessoas que fazem parte, de todas as artistas, mas é isso, é um bordado que é irregular, que é não linear, né? E que vai pensar passado, presente, futuro, essas histórias brasileiras que são fragmentadas. Talvez essa exposição seja uma tentativa de conexão nessas histórias todas fragmentadas durante séculos.
Como a gente fala de uma ancestralidade sem cuidar dessa ancestralidade, sem honrar, né? Sem amar, sem pontuar a importância da memória dessas mulheres que passaram por essa terra antes da gente. E eu gosto muito de dizer assim que, independente do tempo, eu cultuo a ideia de que todas essas anciãs caminham comigo.
Ai, que lindo, né?
I speak much better in Portuguese.
Me too.
You do.
One of the core principles of State of Fashion is precisely this dialogue, right? With international curators and partnerships. So how do you seek to expand the Eurocentric boundaries that have dominate and still dominates fashion narratives?
Yes, maybe it's good to take a little bit with State of Fashion, what we do, because we always work with open calls. So everyone from all around the world can send their application to become the curators of the State of Fashion biennial. That's at first. And then in 2018 was the last time we worked with a Dutch curator. Since then, we only work with international curators. And why? It's because we, of course, our home site is Arnhem in Holland, and it will remain Arnhem. But we learn a lot from making programs in a local context in other fashion capitals to give space for other perspectives. So that's why we decided after 2018 to really focus on open calls with international curators. So every 2 years we have our biennial, and in between we have smaller residency programs we develop. And every curator team who has been working on a biennial remains for a couple of years in our advisory board. So in 24 we worked with Hannah and with Sunny and with Kalol and with Rachel and Louise and with Philippe, of course, on different program parts. So on 3 global cities, in Bengaluru, in India, in Nairobi, in Kenya, in Sao Paulo, Brazil, and finally in Arnhem. And all these outcomes represented. Afterwards, we asked Hannah and all the other co-curators to join our advisory board. So in that sense, we keep running this multi-voice perspective. And this is really important for us. And I also think that's quite unique because normally if you have a very big fashion or textiles event, it's been curated by the event or by some by a creative director. And that's not how we work. We really want to give space for all these voices. In 2022, we worked with Fashion Revolution with the curator team of Ursula de Castro and her team, and also 3 very young South American curators. So there were 7 curators by that time. Also in 24, we had a lot of curators.
From Brazil or
Three
from...
Brazilians,
No.
I guess.
Yeah, one was from
Brazilian?
Brazil. Yeah, Marina, yes.
Marina, you know?
Marina Sasseron.
Marina Cesarón.
Yes, and coming back to your question, I think it's really important that what we started in 24 by really decentralizing the Western perspective of curating, that was the first time. But for this edition with Available to Promise, which we just finished last month, we focused a little bit more on the system part, but in 24, the decentralization was more about making the differences between global north, global south more clear, more transparent. This was quite important for us. And within Ties That Bind, that was the theme, the overall theme for 24. The focus point was makers behind the system, makers, practices, craftsmanship, and I think Hannah did an amazing job in Sao Paulo with bringing up the best practices and the most valuable stories the designers brought us. So we are very thankful for that.
Wow, great, great. And Hannah, and for you, what was it like to take part in the biennial? And do you feel that your approach as a Black curator, woman from the global South, differs from the European approach? How did you feel this?
I don't know if differs, but for me it was amazing experience, but because I never worked with the Netherlands, and was amazing to meet Arnhem and to saw the city was all dressed, and the city the idea of the fashion is really and deeply connected with culture for the city. So I think that there was the major of the city.
Yeah, it was a major.
The major of the city was present, and this edition Queen Máxima was present. So the government it's really interested how fashion is can be a point of connection with the city, the society, the communities. And to me, saw that was amazing in person. But working in Brazil was amazing too, because we all worked with women of color and BIPOC people. So Black women and indigenous women, women from traditional communities. And of course, as a Black woman, I think that my point of view as a curator, it's totally oh my God, I wasn't prepared.
Fala em português.
I wasn't prepared
Pode falar em
to
português.
do this talk in English, so I
Do in Portuguese.
I have to think more. But was amazing.
Fica à vontade, fala em português.
O que eu tava falando, gente, olha como fica bonito. It's more beautiful. É que eu acho que o meu olhar como uma curadora negra, my point of view as a Black curator, e a minha... acho que todo o meu trabalho é voltado para isso. All my work, it's... I think as a Black woman, thinking as a Black curator, so...
Inclusive sua pesquisa,
I have
né?
a research, yes. I have a research very deeply in this subject. So for me, it was amazing to put in action my research, my subjects of research, the artists that I'm researching, working with. I'm a candomblé woman of candomblé. Candomblé as an Afro-Brazilian religion. So I invited one of our priestess to be part as an artist, making a cloth of Iemanjá, the queen of the seas, from the Africans and Afro-Brazilians. So it was amazing. And as also a historian, a fashion professor, was so beautiful to saw the people engaged and interested in the clothes and the histories behind the clothes and the artists. As I think that the fashion exhibitions can be places as spots of education.
E eu acho que está na hora de você fazer propaganda do seu livro.
Yes, this is my first book. Yes. In Portuguese, it's called Negras Maneiras de Vestir. In English, it's like a Black Ways of Dressing. Fashion memory in Afro-Brazilian art. And it's a book that I spent six years writing. And then I have histories about fashion, candomblé clothes, the history of my family that was involved with fashion. My grandpa was a tailor. My grandma was a seamstress. So, in the end of the book, I worked with 4 Afro-Brazilian artists that put together fashion and visual arts, and the idea of the Afro-Brazilian memories and the Afro-Brazilian heritage. So, yes, this is my first book, available in all libraries.
Amazon?
Yes, but Amazon, it's a little bit complicated, so go to the bookshops.
Yeah. But fashion always seems to be going through some sort of crisis. Today, the luxury market is facing a crisis of figures and identity, where creative directors have become almost disposable. And algorithms are further standardizing the so-called trends. What role might artistic and curatorial practice could play in this scenario, and what can it reveal that fashion industry itself cannot?
From a state of fashion perspective, I think it's important for us to reach our audience and to get this knowledge exchange, of course. So we, within our biennial programs, we really try to bring the message as much low key as possible, if you understand what I mean. So the approach is quite hard. Sometimes we organize a lot of workshops, and we invite a lot of kids to join the workshops and to really revalue craftsmanship, working with your hands. How does it feel to sew a piece of textile? So quite directly, we try to engage them with the subject. Because at the end, I also have a teen and a student, my kids myself, and I mean, we have a lot of conversation at home about this subject as well. There's still too much fast fashion, and it's still highly polluting. I mean, the system must change, and I know that as an organization, we are like very small. And it's really hard to have impact on a global level. But then again, if you don't do anything and you start running all these fashion weeks and all these collections, minimum twice a year, well, that's another subject. So we try,
That's
and
crazy.
and our exhibitions, they do make sense. I really hope that our target group is getting younger every edition, and that's good. That's good news. We had a lot of AI, for instance, but AI on a best practice part. This is how you can do it. This is how you can reach your audience, in which you can predict the sustainable practice. And on the other hand, we also showed what's wrong with it. We had a brilliant Chinese designer who was really faking everything and making really a quite humoristic AI. And that's what a younger target group of us, the kids like. I mean, they're like, okay, wow, this is fast. And I mean, they like this part of communication about the subject. So that's what we always try to do. And then again, we also really want to show the most beautiful practices on makers, crafts. Well, almost every sustainable practice comes along within our edition, and it's on a global level. That's also what I like. So we always show in Arnhem there's space for the Dutch designers, but 80% is international.
Can I ask you why Aaron and not Amsterdam?
I was living and working 25 years in Amsterdam when I was working for Moda Foundation, which we had, but also with Amsterdam Fashion Week, for instance, and also when I was still a designer. But Arnhem is quite famous for Artes, a school of arts. Fashion design is within, I think, on a global level, within the top 5 of the best schools. So Arnhem has this school. And Arnhem, since they have this school, the municipality, but also the government, is really focusing on the sustainable aspects and the high level of quality of design when it comes to fashion in Arnhem. So that's why I left Amsterdam.
Okay.
Yeah, it's still hard.
Hannah, and what about you? For you,
I forgot your question because it's a
The-
lot of things to.
the question is, and what role
Oh, yes.
this artistic and curatorial?
I think that we have to be a political work in every field we do. So as a fashion curator, as a curator, we have to put all our points of views, our political point of views in our work, in our exhibitions, because exhibitions for me, as like I said, is a place of education, a place of we can have a conversation with the audience. So it's not about the just clothes. It's more. I want to the audience see the clothes, see the pieces of art that we put it in the exhibitions, and they, wow, this is amazing. I want to learn more about this history, about this artist. And I think as a Brazilian, as a member of Global South community, we have a lot of stories to tell to the world. And our fashion, Brazilian fashion, it's amazing. And not just the fashion that we have in the fashion weeks or, in the fancy spots, the fancy shops. Is the fashion that my grandpa was doing the 60s. Is the fashion that the Bordadeiras do Curtume, that was one of our artists in 2024, that a community of women in Minas Gerais, in Vale do Jequitinhonha, that did amazing embroideries. So for me, this is a fashion, and I want to put this in my fashion exhibitions.
Yeah, yeah. I feel that as a communicator for so many decades, I feel that exhibitions nowadays can have the public's attention that media doesn't have anymore. So it's such a good platform for education and communication. And now I'm going to tell about my project, Brazil Creating for Tomorrow. Agus is one of the participants, one of the last year, no, the year before. Yeah, so it's a project that we've been doing together in partnership with the Brazilian Embassy in London. And each year we choose focus, a curatorial team. And the year that Agus participated was about women, a chain of women. So it was about Brazilian designers who encourage and empower other Brazilian women in the chain of fashion.
In London, right?
In London, yeah. And then last year was about Amazon and designers, materials, innovation. We have our pillars are fashion, sustainability, and innovation. And this year was about the Caatinga. It's a biome that even in Brazil, it's not known at all. So it was a big challenge, but I feel that we can really
Spread the word?
yeah, kind of, yeah. Anyway, so I feel that we work with fashion, art, research, and I would like to know about the challenges. What kind of project can challenge conventional definitions of fashion and art? Because there is always this question: is fashion art? Is fashion art?
Is fashion
Yeah,
or
and, you know, yeah.
vice versa?
I think it's a cultural phenomenon in that
Yes.
sense. And if your perspective is from the cultural phenomenon, and if that's the starting point, then I mean, yeah.
Here in Brazil, we also have this question that is fashion's a type, a kind of art or isn't. And like it is, I believe that fashion can be considered art, but a political one. I think that in the last talk, Marcelo maybe was talking about, I love Dior, I love Galliano, and me too. And today we saw in Louvre, in other museums, V&A and other museums, fashion exhibitions, Schiaparelli fashion exhibition. This is lovely, it's beautiful. The clothes are amazing. But I think the fashion is more than beauty. Beauty is important too. And I think the challenge is how can we tell broader stories about fashion? Behind the scenes, thinking deeply in the systems like the last Biennale, the hidden system, the hidden systems.
Exactly, and also how can we revalue fashion and try to get away from the decorative part of it, from the product part of it, but giving space for the makers behind the system, all these people who have been working to make this beautiful product in that sense. And that's exactly what our last biennial was about the systems and which journey does it take and how long does it take before a specific product enters the shop, you know? That's why what we wanted to communicate. And but I really think it's important that we remain pushing this cultural phenomenon, what fashion can be, and that we try to show as much beautiful examples of alternatives as possible.
So we have to finish, but I'm gonna do one more question. What might a fashion exhibition for you look like in 20 or 30 years' time? And what stories will need to be told? Yes, give our prediction. The question of $1 million.
Well, it's funny. Thank you for the question. It's a lovely one. It's always a hard one as well. Yesterday, I had a conversation with my daughter, and then I said, okay, sometimes I remember as a kid at her age that I needed to save for 3 to 6 months before I could buy that specific pair of Levi's jeans, you know, in the 80s. And but for me, that was fine because I was so desperate to get that pair of jeans. And now everything is so cheap and it's so right in their hands, and they don't have any clue about the waste, about the pollution, about all the consequences for the climate, but also the complete inequality and inequity, all these things behind the fashion system. And that's why I feel so motivated to keep spreading the words that we need to show these alternatives, and that we keep telling them, okay, there's a reason before this t-shirt is 60 euros or 600 reais or 5, you know? And it's really hard, but I really hope that within a few years, the movement and the knowledge exchange will be improved a little bit. I really hope.
Yeah.
I'm working a lot on that. Yeah.
And for you, Hannah?
I really don't know. It's a lot of time ahead.
But your dream will
in my dream,
yeah.
I want to see fashion exhibitions that would be able to tell the stories behind the scenes of, or the stories that the people that make the clothes make with the hands. And I hope to live in a world that we don't, I don't know, maybe, I really don't know, but we live in a world that the idea of the subject of the climate changing, the all things of the environment don't be an issue.
That's a dream.
I'm a dreamer?
Yeah. But I am a dreamer also, so.
we have dream.
Yeah.
You must keep dreaming, right?
Yeah.
Dream, yes.
Yeah. So I feel that I hope we can inspire this dream to come true. Okay.
I agree completely.
So thank you very much. Obrigada, gente. Foi prazer estar aqui hoje.